Welcome. Today we are looking at nutrient cycles, focusing on the carbon, nitrogen and water cycles. This is a key topic in your biology exams for SS2. Pay close attention. Let us begin. First, let me explain what nutrient cycles are. Nutrient cycles are the pathways by which nutrients move through the environment. Nutrients are essential for life. They are used by organisms for growth, reproduction, and metabolism. Nutrients are not lost from the environment. They are recycled. They move from the abiotic environment to living organisms and back again. This is called a biogeochemical cycle. The word biogeochemical refers to the biological, geological, and chemical processes involved. There are several nutrient cycles: the carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, water cycle, phosphorus cycle, and sulfur cycle. Each cycle is essential for life. Understanding nutrient cycles is essential for understanding ecology. Now, let me explain the carbon cycle. Carbon is an essential element. It is found in all organic molecules. It is found in carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Carbon is also found in the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. It is found in the oceans as dissolved carbon dioxide. It is found in rocks as carbonates. The carbon cycle is the movement of carbon through the environment. The main processes in the carbon cycle are photosynthesis, respiration, decomposition, combustion, and fossilization. Photosynthesis removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Plants use carbon dioxide and water to produce glucose and oxygen. Respiration returns carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. All living organisms respire. They release carbon dioxide. Decomposition releases carbon dioxide. When organisms die, decomposers break them down. They release carbon dioxide. Combustion releases carbon dioxide. Burning fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide. Fossilization removes carbon from the cycle. Over millions of years, dead organisms become fossil fuels. Coal, oil, and natural gas are fossil fuels. The carbon in fossil fuels is stored underground. It is not part of the active cycle until it is burned. The carbon cycle is essential for life. It regulates the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It affects the climate. Now, let me explain the importance of the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle is important for several reasons. First, it provides carbon for photosynthesis. Plants need carbon dioxide to make food. Second, it regulates the climate. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. It traps heat in the atmosphere. An increase in carbon dioxide causes global warming. Third, it provides fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are used for energy. They are formed from ancient organisms. Fourth, it maintains the balance of carbon in the environment. Carbon is constantly being exchanged between the atmosphere, oceans, and living organisms. The carbon cycle is essential for life on Earth. Now, let me explain the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is an essential element. It is found in proteins and nucleic acids. Proteins are needed for growth. Nucleic acids are needed for heredity. Nitrogen is abundant in the atmosphere. About 78% of the atmosphere is nitrogen gas. However, nitrogen gas is inert. Most organisms cannot use it directly. It must be converted into a usable form. This is called nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation is the conversion of nitrogen gas into ammonia. It is carried out by nitrogen-fixing bacteria. Some bacteria live in the root nodules of legumes. Others live freely in the soil. Nitrogen fixation also occurs through lightning and industrial processes. The nitrogen cycle has several steps: nitrogen fixation, nitrification, assimilation, ammonification, and denitrification. Nitrogen fixation converts nitrogen gas into ammonia. Nitrification converts ammonia into nitrite and then into nitrate. Nitrate is the form of nitrogen that plants can use. Assimilation is the uptake of nitrate by plants. Plants use nitrate to make proteins and nucleic acids. Animals eat plants. They obtain nitrogen from the plants. Ammonification is the conversion of organic nitrogen back into ammonia. This occurs when organisms die. Decomposers break down the organic matter. They release ammonia. Denitrification is the conversion of nitrate back into nitrogen gas. This occurs in waterlogged soils. Denitrifying bacteria convert nitrate into nitrogen gas. The nitrogen returns to the atmosphere. The nitrogen cycle is essential for life. It provides nitrogen for plants and animals. Now let me explain the importance of the nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen cycle is important for several reasons. First, it provides nitrogen for plants. Plants need nitrogen for growth. They cannot use nitrogen gas directly. They need nitrate. The nitrogen cycle converts nitrogen gas into nitrate. Second, it provides nitrogen for animals. Animals obtain nitrogen by eating plants. Third, it maintains the balance of nitrogen in the environment. Nitrogen is constantly being exchanged between the atmosphere, soil, and living organisms. Fourth, it is essential for agriculture. Farmers use fertilizers to add nitrogen to the soil. They also use legumes to fix nitrogen. The nitrogen cycle is essential for life. Now, let me explain the water cycle. The water cycle is the movement of water through the environment. Water is essential for life. It is a solvent. It is a transport medium. It regulates temperature. The water cycle has several steps: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, transpiration, and runoff. Evaporation is the conversion of water from liquid to gas. It occurs from oceans, lakes, and rivers. Condensation is the conversion of water from gas to liquid. It forms clouds. Precipitation is the fall of water from the atmosphere to the earth. It includes rain, snow, and hail. Transpiration is the loss of water from plants. Plants absorb water from the soil. They release it through their leaves. Runoff is the flow of water over the land. It returns water to rivers, lakes, and oceans. The water cycle is essential for life. It distributes water around the earth. It provides water for plants and animals. Now, let me explain the importance of the water cycle. The water cycle is important for several reasons. First, it provides water for living organisms. All living things need water. Second, it distributes water around the earth. Water moves from the oceans to the land. It provides water for agriculture. Third, it regulates the climate. Water vapour is a greenhouse gas. It traps heat. Clouds reflect sunlight. They cool the earth. Fourth, it shapes the landscape. Water erodes rocks. It forms rivers and valleys. The water cycle is essential for life. Now, let me explain the human impact on nutrient cycles. Human activities have disrupted nutrient cycles. The burning of fossil fuels releases carbon dioxide. This increases the greenhouse effect. It causes global warming. Deforestation reduces photosynthesis. Less carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere. This also contributes to global warming. The use of fertilizers releases nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is a greenhouse gas. It also contributes to global warming. The release of nitrogen and phosphorus into waterways causes eutrophication. Eutrophication is the excessive growth of algae. It depletes oxygen, it kills fish. Human activities are disrupting nutrient cycles. This is a serious environmental problem. A common exam question asks you to explain the carbon cycle. Here is a sample answer. The carbon cycle is the movement of carbon through the environment. Carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere by photosynthesis. It is returned by respiration, decomposition, and combustion. Carbon is stored in fossil fuels. The carbon cycle regulates the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It affects the climate. Another exam question asks you to explain the nitrogen cycle. Here is your answer. The nitrogen cycle is the movement of nitrogen through the environment. Nitrogen fixation converts nitrogen gas into ammonia. Nitrification converts ammonia into nitrate. Assimilation is the uptake of nitrate by plants. Ammonification converts organic nitrogen into ammonia. Denitrification converts nitrate into nitrogen gas. The nitrogen cycle provides nitrogen for plants and animals. Another exam question asks you to explain the water cycle. Here is your answer. The water cycle is the movement of water through the environment. Evaporation converts water into vapor. Condensation forms clouds. Precipitation returns water to the earth. Transpiration releases water from plants. Runoff returns water to rivers and oceans. The water cycle provides water for living organisms. Let me give you a quick summary. Nutrient cycles are the pathways by which nutrients move through the environment. The carbon cycle involves photosynthesis, respiration, decomposition, combustion, and fossilization. The nitrogen cycle involves nitrogen fixation, nitrification, assimilation, ammonification, and denitrification. The water cycle involves evaporation, condensation, precipitation, transpiration, and runoff. Human activities have disrupted nutrient cycles. Practice these concepts. When you have them down, move to topic 3.